What's going on, everyone? It's Indy here with Ultimate Tour Reviews. Well, today we're going to be talking about a good friend of mine named Clayton, and back in 2021, he started his own lawn care business. Now, here in Florida, it's pretty common to see every lawn care business using entirely gas-powered tools. You might see a cordless blower, maybe a cordless hedge trimmer, here and there, but it's quite rare. However, though, he had the idea to go entirely battery operated from basically the mowers all the way down to the string trimmers. So that's what he did. He went and got out all the Ego Power tools for his business. He looked at a couple other brands, but if you look at reviews for outdoor power tools, I'm Makita myself. When you look at like Project Farm, some other big reviewers, Ego really kind of takes the cake there for outdoor power tools. They got the bigger 56-volt system, they got the larger batteries, they even have riding lawnmowers. And their mowers often do better than anything else you can test. So it was, of course, a pretty easy choice to go with Ego Power Tools. Now, of course, anyone can test power tools that are for, your lawn at a house. That's easy to do. But when you give it to someone like Clayton, who's doing an actual business with it, and he's mowing multiple yards every single day, that's where you really have a real test of those power tools. So I got to ask Clayton a couple questions, how his ego stuff was holding up, where he's kind of going in the future, and some things that he's done over those 2 years now. He recently had his 2-year anniversary on June 8th of this year. So he's a little over 2 years now into his business. And overall, he's been doing pretty good now. He's, of course, expanded a little bit to more, so doing a little bit more tree work, some landscaping. Of course, a lot of other things come with, doing mowing lawns and stuff in Florida, as that's very common. So anyways, I got to myself ask him a couple of questions. The first question I asked him was, what was the worst part about Ego Power Tools? And he said the worst part about Ego Power Tools is probably the overheating to the point that it would actually damage the cells. Then out of nowhere, the battery will be only half power. It is in a short period of time, within a year or two, not all, but enough to make you worry, since the price tag of a battery was $150 to $550. Now, of course, that's an understandable point that Clayton made there about, overheating batteries. In Florida, that's very, very common. It gets very hot here. We've had heat indexes pretty much every day right now that are over 100 degrees. So, of course, that's to be expected, as well as that battery price tag about being $150 to $550. Ego does make some pretty big batteries, especially ones for the larger mowers, and those are definitely not cheap. So, of course, when you're running a business, you have to be able to control those costs, and having one battery there that can be as costly as a single tool is definitely not a great thing. Not a great thing to have there. And I did ask him, what was the best part about Ego Power Tools? He said the best part was that they can be put into any other piece of equipment by Ego. There were times my helper had a battery die on the weed eater, and then I was mowing near him, and we would just have him take one of mine. So, of course, when you have a gas power tool, of course, you can just throw gas in it, and the same goes for a battery power tool. If you got a battery dies, you can throw another battery in there and keep going. So that is also, a big advantage there with battery power tools. However, though, the downside there is charging those batteries again. You can't just go to the store and juice them up quick like you can with a gas can. So that's completely understandable there. Now, the third question I got to ask him was, would you still consider Ego in the future, or are you looking at another brand? His response was, I would consider Ego again, but they have to look at commercial grade products. I think they own the residential side of the products, but for constant work, they need some time to make that better. That's interesting because, Ego is probably the most commercial focused, you could say, of any of those outdoor power tool brands. Yes, we have, still is there. They're trying to get in there a little bit, but they lack a lot of tools that Ego has. Ego is easily the most complete system there. And of course, from all these reviews just showing a lot of the Ego stuff being just, super overperforming and being absolutely incredible for the average homeowner, it's interesting to see this in the hands of someone doing commercial work every single day. And unfortunately, Ego is just not holding up to the task, according to Clayton here. So now the fourth question I have to ask him was, since you now have gas tools now, was running battery tools cheaper or more expensive? This is kind of the $1,000,000 question here. He sent me this picture a couple days ago of him now running all gas tools, and I was actually going to go do a interview with him directly, but unfortunately he's getting rid of a lot of the Ego tools now, and he's got all gas. And of course our schedules really didn't, coincide too well, so I ended up just having to send him a text with, hey, I got some questions for you, and of course got some information as well from him to do this video. So anyways, his answer was, as I get more into the gas equipment to compare it, I personally think it's about the same, or maybe gas is cheaper. I was very fortunate that my place to charge had solar, so the cost of electric is more upfront. So that can be a big advantage there. You're essentially charging for free, sort of. You gotta make sure you count the cost of your solar panels if you are charging those batteries for free after you buy those panels, and whatever maintenance costs you have on those panels as well too. So is gas cheaper? Well, he kind of seems to think gas is cheaper. Of course, he's probably got to do some more numbers on that. He hasn't had gas products that long from talking to him. So it's hard to tell exactly price-wise, where you can go with when it comes to gas or cordless tools. But from talking to him, though, his biggest issue was the batteries with those tools. And of course, standing up to the heat is also a big, big issue, where gas tools, that's really not a big of an issue, especially here in Florida. And of course, I did get to help him find some deals. Whenever I was at Lowe's, I find any Ego products on sale, I'd pick them up for him and get him some deals that way for Ego tools. So of course, you can always find, deals and stuff. However, though, I asked him what he went to now. Of course, it's going to be probably a bit more expensive on the upfront cost, but he won't need to buy batteries anymore. And he told me that he went with all steel for all of his handheld equipment, and then he went with Cub Cadet for all of his mowers now. So that was a big change for him, moving into different brands now. He actually even let me know that he was looking at some of the new Greenworks mowers, which I didn't even know existed, and they were also now all battery operated. However, though, the upfront cost of those tools really put him back onto gas, unfortunately. He mentioned that going with Greenworks, it was just so expensive, he can't get the runtime out of it. And of course, the batteries have always been a big worry to him about those just going bad. Replacing those, it's just kind of a headache that he let me know that, having those batteries in there can fail any time versus just gas. You go pick up at the gas station, you're good to go. Became one of those things that was just a bit too inconvenient for using that in the commercial space and using it every single day. If you forget to charge the batteries up one night, well, unfortunately, you can't really work the next day, unfortunately, there. So overall, the Ego tools themselves seem to hold up just fine. It was mostly just the batteries that had the issues there. Now, of course, as we move into the future, we're going to see batteries, of course, are going to be always improving somewhat. But, when it comes to batteries, it's always an interesting thing because that one technology, lithium ion, now has been around for 20 years or so. So we really need to see that kind of next generation eventually hit here. I don't even know what it could be exactly. But at least we know the tools are getting there to the point where we can put a battery into a tool, and that tool will be somewhat, I guess you could say, maybe as durable as its gas counterpart. It's just that we can see here from Clayton's experience that the battery there was kind of the weak point of those tools. And of course, batteries are definitely going to be a lot more classified as more of a consumable compared to the tool itself. You will definitely go through more batteries, especially how Clayton was using them in the Florida heat pretty much every day. That does take some wear and tear on those batteries quite often. But I'd like to thank Clayton for sending me these answers, letting me use some of his business experience here to really show you guys, hey, can you use Ego power tools in a commercial environment for 2 years now, and how well do they hold up? So really cool if find out information from Clayton. If you got any questions for me or Clayton, leave them in the comments below. I'll see if I can get him to maybe answer a few more questions if you got any. But guys, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a great day and stay safe out there.